All right. So again, welcome. Thanks for joining us for our panel today to learn about how to pursue a creative career. I'm Rachel Walden. I'm the Assistant Director of the Office of Career and Professional Development. We are here for you. We serve students and alumni for life. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about whatever career path you are pursuing. We are here to help you. We have a career specialist model, and you will actually be linked to your specialist in Handshake, which you can access through the Launchpad in My Belmont. You can schedule appointments directly with your specialist, find jobs and internships, and a number of resources, as well as all of our upcoming Belmont and Beyond WellCore programs, as well as recruiting opportunities. The WellCore category for this program is occupational well-being. And at the end of the presentation today, I will share instructions for how to get credit for participating. Our goal in career development and all of our faculty and staff on campus is to help you become career ready. So what that means is that you have developed the top skills employers are seeking. But even if you are pursuing a freelance or entrepreneurial route, these are all things that are going to come into play because you will be working with clients and customers and other professionals in your industry. And so these are all really important. So you can see the top competencies here. The career readiness competencies that this program align directly with are career management and professionalism and work ethic. So as you can imagine, career management is a huge part of what we help students and alumni with. And this panel today will also share tips with you to help you as you navigate your future career. As well as professionalism and work ethic, working for any employer, working for yourself, it's really important to demonstrate that professionalism and work ethic, develop good time management skills, which we'll talk about later, especially if you're working for yourself. So these are things that will be addressed in our program today. I also, after the panel, will be sharing some resources that are available to you as students and alumni. These will probably be mentioned by our panelists, but we will share that slide, and one of my colleagues will drop in some links for you so that you can save those and access them at a later date. So without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen so you can see our lovely panelists' faces. And I would love our panelists to each briefly introduce themselves and share a little bit about their professional background. And we'll start with Amanda.
Thank you. I had to be sure that I hit unmute this time. Now that it didn't work earlier. So anyway, happy to be here. Hello, I'm Amanda Mazzo. I am the creative director and COO of Mazzo Media. We are a boutique creative marketing agency based here in Nashville. My husband and I founded it in 2016. And we like to think of ourselves as digital storytellers and creative problem solvers. We bring ideas to life utilizing marketing solutions like videography, graphic design, photography, and social content. Did you want to know how we got started? I'm just like going down the list.
Absolutely. Share what your major was, how you got a brief kind of overview of what did your career path look like as a creative?
Yeah, so I actually studied commercial music with a music business emphasis. At the time, I was doing a little side hustle with web design, so I had a background with art and design. After I graduated Belmont in 2003, I worked for 2 nonprofits until 2007. I was mostly doing admin work, but got some great on-the-job training doing more print design, which was something that I didn't have experience in at the time. But my boss was retiring, and we had some kind of candid conversations about my dreams. And, I originally, wanted to work for myself eventually, didn't know what that was going to look like. And when he retired, he really urged me to take the leap. And even though that wasn't on my timeline, that was the biggest and best risk that I took. And it was 100% worth it. I've been working for myself ever since.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And Amanda is one of our great partners who has participated in this program several times, and I know she's got some great tips to share with you today. So we'll go to Clark next.
All righty. Yes, Amanda's doing that awesome Instagram nation today. It's awesome. I'm doing that tomorrow. So you set a pretty good bar I got to try to meet. So my name's Clark Buckner. I started at Belmont 2009, graduated in 2013. I was entrepreneurship major all 4 years. And, I'm from East Tennessee. And so I really wanted to come to Belmont just for all the reasons you all probably did too, right? It's a creative city. It's a really cool campus. There's good people. And my thing I do today is kind of two main things. So I have my own business. I'm a co-founder of a podcast production agency. It's called Relationary Marketing. I have a little water bottle here. It's like a little diamond, not very creative. It's actually just a placeholder logo. And then we just kept it. But we do podcasts for companies, for brands. I know it's a dry campus, so I won't talk too much about it, but Jack Daniels, we do the official podcast for them. We do work for Vanderbilt Health. We do work with a lot of large businesses, but also small businesses too. And so we've really enjoyed the journey. It's been about 5 years. And later on, maybe I can talk a little about, I kind of stumbled my way out of Belmont a little bit. It's not easy. None of this stuff is easy. Whenever you all graduate or start to see friends who graduate, it's going to seem like everybody's got it together, but no one really does. And honestly, I can only speak for myself on the panel, but I'm still figuring it out too. So I'm excited to share what's worked for me. And so I work my own business there, but I also work at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center as a contractor, technically, not even full time for the last 5 years as well. So it's kind of been nice to have both things to kind of continue to learn and be around entrepreneurs and creators and try to support those entrepreneurs too. So I'm just so happy to be here and hanging out with you all today.
Thank you so much, Clark, for being here. And David?
Yeah. Hi, I'm David Supika. I'm the operations director for Emotion, which is an events company that specializes in immersive audiovisual activations. If anyone went to the Tempo or Jingle Beat shows down at the Nashville Fairgrounds this last fall, those were our flagship shows. And I was a commercial music major, a bass player at Belmont, and graduated in 2010. And my creative entrepreneurial career has kind of taken a very odd cyclic route in me progressively taking steps away from being a creative entrepreneur until the start of the pandemic, when I was kind of almost forced to get right back into it. So when I graduated Belmont, I was dead set on being a performer and an artist. I had started a band called the Delta Saints, and we spent the 5 years after graduating just touring relentlessly. Spent about 300 days a year on the road, which is really fun when you're 21 years old. And then as you crest your 20s and go towards the upper side of 20s, towards 30, I needed a little more stability. So I took a kind of creative step back towards venue management. Still got to do my rock and roll thing, but got to go home every night, got a more steady paycheck. So I moved to Marathon Music Works and started managing that room for a couple of years, but found that, as I was looking at having kids and starting a family, that was still a little too, kind of loose, taxing on the personal life. So I took a step further back into a very comfy, albeit slightly boring job as an account manager at a tech company. And I kind of resigned myself to being like, I'll do creative stuff, somewhere else in my life. Now I'm just going to be a company man. I'm just going to do this and retire, and did that for several months until March of 2020, when the pandemic forced Eventbrite to lay off 90% of their music workforce. And, like so many of us, kind of found a time where we really had no idea how to respond. And through those kind of scary conversations in March and April, ended up helping to form this new business, Emotion, which is what I'm doing now.
Thank you for sharing your path. And I think it's clear that no one has a linear path. There's no one right job or path for you. And the twists and turns make it more interesting and give you that resiliency to move forward. So I'd love to hear a little bit from each of you. And David, you've already shared some of this, but how has the current pandemic impacted your work? And what advice do you have for students and alumni who might be deciding to pursue a creative or entrepreneurial career path right now? Jump in, whoever would like to go first.
Okay, I'll go.
Want to take that first?
Yeah, I'll run with this one. So before 2020, we did a lot of work with promoting live events and marketing those, and then also production for sporting events. We also worked with some local restaurants for their marketing strategy and content. And by March of 2020, all of that, as we all know now, that looked a whole lot different. Fortunately, we had invested in live streaming equipment pretty early on, although we were a very, small part of what turned out to be very popular. That equipment was back ordered for about 4 to 5 months. But once we did get it and learn how to use it, it enabled us to pivot a little bit and start taking some of these live events virtual and start working with remote production, which is a whole other animal, but that's been really cool to see. We also handle social media marketing for a handful of retail, shopping, and lifestyle centers across the nation. The interesting part for me with that was just watching them. We have 2 centers in California in counties that completely shut down. But what I found was that I don't know if this is interesting for you, it was for me, that the powers that be with the marketing funds, social media and marketing strategy was the first place that they put their dollars. Because even if things went south in terms of operations, they still wanted to have some sort of digital presence. For me, my advice for budding entrepreneurs is to just stay flexible as much as you can. I know that's really hard. I would say keep your ears to the ground for trends, start seeing what needs are coming up in the community and the places around you, and then start asking yourself and your team questions of how can we possibly pivot to start meeting those needs.
I love that, being flexible. And something I will sometimes tell students and anyone, I guess, is before you can be a producer, you need to first be a consumer. So continuing to follow those trends. And I think a transferable skill set like marketing, there's a lot of free tools out there that I would suggest you write down, because one of them is called HubSpot and another one is called Moz. HubSpot is about inbound marketing. And it's the whole idea of how do you make this media that can drive results? So I remember, as a student, you can go out now and start making money working with a restaurant. I did a trade deal with Chagos back when I was maybe a junior or senior. Okay. And I went in and I said, hey, you don't have anybody doing your social media. You need some help. So I did a part cash, part trade, and I built a little website for him. And you know what? That gave me a little bit of traction. So now I can go show someone else, hey, I did their social media, I did their website. So, and actually I have continued that little trade deal. I just host their website now and I still go there all the time. Okay. Love Chagos. So the idea is you can start now, but also it's not just about, hey, I can do some social media for you. The idea is because I do this, it will create this for you. And because of that, you'll get this. So learning about HubSpot and that concept of inbound marketing, Moz it's M-O-Z. It's about SEO, search engine optimization. These are little things you can start dipping your toes in now that can be used. Anyway, how it's impacted me really quick. About 30% of our revenue was from going to live events and doing podcasting at conferences and trade shows. And that all disappeared. Thankfully, we've been able to go virtual with our clients. I'm usually in my closet back there doing podcasting and sessions, but I came out of there today to be in a little bit of a more normal environment. But thankfully, we were able to make that pivot. But everyone in the world is going through this right now. So if you feel alone right now, trying to figure this out, everyone is asking questions like this. So a few little tidbits to share there. I don't know if David has anything else to add or turn over to you, Rachel.
Yeah, I think more of a reiteration on what you both have said, flexibility and problem solving being the most valuable traits to exercise and to hang on to. For my personal situation, Emotion was very much a reaction to the pandemic. We were looking around and trying to figure out what to do with all these empty parking lots and all of this production gear that was sitting in warehouses and all these top talent programmers and designers that had no live shows to work on. and just starting with the resources and figuring out what to do with them kind of created our entire business model of funneling those items into making a drive-through pandemic safe event. So it just, that sort of creative outside of the box thinking and problem solving is imperative. And it, for me at least, my career now didn't look anything like I imagined it would 10 years ago, but I have been really happy to hang on to those tenets in my professional life. So yeah.
Excellent advice. I want to know more about how you've embraced the community around you. I mean, especially right now during the pandemic, connecting is more difficult. But how has that shifted for you during the pandemic? How do you stay plugged in? What tips do you have for our students to collaborate with other creatives? And any particular groups or resources in Nashville or beyond that you recommend? Thanks, Clark, for mentioning the two that you shared.
So basically your question is, how do you try to find community right now, right? And how do you, this is a completely new set of circumstances. So one thing that I'm going to put, oh gosh, I don't know, that's tough. I'm trying to think of like one thing to drop. Amanda or David, maybe you all could have something more concrete, but I was just going to say it's something as simple as, if you can find an internship, you can still do some internships virtually right now. I've got 2 from Belmont that I have the chance to work with. And I think the fact that you all showed up today is big. I'll give you one actionable thing right now. And so often you'll go to a networking event, and we can call this what that is. You might meet somebody, maybe you get a business card, you put that in your pocket, you never do anything. So here you've got 3 alumni. I would think all 3 of us would love to hear from you later. You would be surprised. I was talking to a class the other day. It's a smaller group, 8 people of a club. And I said, hey, please send me an email. I will introduce you to people. I will send you resources compared to what you're interested in arts and business counts or creative stuff. Here's a great resource to get plugged into. Follow their newsletter, this and that. I said it maybe 5 times. I never heard from anybody. And so I think that goes, I would encourage you, find the 3 of us on LinkedIn after this, or ask to be connected to us, even if it's just a thank you. Just getting connected like that is a huge differentiator. So even though we're virtual, the email, the follow-up that's what it's all about. And so you're really going to build your career one relationship at a time.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This is, Rachel, you probably know, this is one of my favorite things to talk about, because there was a period of time when I got started where I was just waiting for the phone to ring. And when it didn't, then I realized I needed to do something about that. And one of the things, Clark's right. I mean, yes, contact us. But one of the things that I love about Nashville, and I love bragging on our city, I feel like it makes us really unique that when people say that, I mean, they expect to link arms with you and strategically build you up. And we want to work together and we want everybody to succeed. For young professionals, I mean, networking, I know it sounds really intimidating and scary, but it was foundational for our business. I can recommend YP Nashville as a great place to start. They are out of the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. And if you go to ypnashville.org right now, there's over 50 different partners on their website that each have young professional organizations in niche industries that you can get involved in. And I know they're probably all doing virtual stuff right now as well. They do an event every year called YP Connect that makes it really easy to connect with those people, those places, figuring out what, if you're interested in the ballet, like the Nashville Ballet has an organization. Nashville Junior Chamber is a part of that as well. I was really involved with them for several years. They have a great focus on professional development, civic engagement, social opportunities, networking opportunities. So I highly recommend them. Belmont Young Alumni Council is a great place to plug into as well. I'm sure you can get more information from Rachel. And then speaking for the creative community, we volunteer every month for with Creative Mornings Nashville. They are still meeting virtually. It's hard and crazy and it's early, but we all bring our coffee and there's a global theme and you can connect with other people in the creative community. And what's interesting to me as a creative is that there are people and they're not necessarily working in creative companies or industries. They just want to be around other creatives. So you really never know who you're going to meet. But yes, I will echo Clark, reach out. We're here for you.
Cool. And I'll just add a third vote, reach out, we're here for you. And just reiterating, like, those connections and the people that you meet are by far the most important thing in business. And if you're like me and are very bad at networking events or very uncomfortable doing that sort of thing, for me, it was a very big step forward in my career when I stopped looking at, like, okay, now I'm wearing my networking hat and I'm going to go and talk business with these people. And I have traditionally only gone into business with friends that I made outside of any sort of business objective. So if you don't like going to those events, I think it's totally appropriate. But the more people that you're reaching out to and talking to and telling about what you're working on, the more that starts to ripple out into the community. And someone who was a friend 10 years ago might end up being your business partner. It's really crazy when you track those lines and see how these ideas start to become a reality.
Excellent advice. It's so important. And as you can see from these three alums alone, they're all encouraging you to reach out to them. And I guarantee you, there are so many alumni who come to us that want to mentor and help students. They're very receptive to that. You can actually do an advanced search on LinkedIn to find Belmont alums in your city of interest, in your industry of interest, working for a specific employer, or pursuing their own freelance career. And so for those of you you've shared, there are definitely some professional organizations, volunteer opportunities to make those natural connections. What advice would you have for a student who is maybe just feeling like it's daunting to reach out to someone they don't know? Say it's a Belmont alum they come across. How should they approach that?
I think there's two ways. The first way, I would actually, as a student in here, I would ask Rachel, hey, do you know this alumni? Or any other person Rachel works with. A warm introduction is always going to take you further. Mm-hmm. If you don't, if Rachel's like, I don't know, that sounds like a cool person, I have not met them. That's okay. You can still reach out. It's a cold outreach, but that's okay. But any chance, and LinkedIn will show you might have this person in common. I remember I was just getting my LinkedIn going when I was in college. This is a great time to go ahead and just start adding everybody, okay? In your network, because you got people everywhere. Add them now and start building that up, because LinkedIn is a tool that can work for you. But I would say ask one of your people in Rachel's office if they know somebody, because hey, if I see Rachel's name come into my inbox, I instantly know I can trust her, and I'm just gonna get better time on it. So if you can't get that, go for it. Otherwise, I think just reaching out, and you can just say, hey, I'm a X person, sophomore, junior, whatever at Belmont. I saw that you're doing this. I would love to ask you a few questions, and maybe you could even offer to buy them a cup of coffee or buy them breakfast. It's the cheapest meal of the day. Most likely they won't let you buy them breakfast, but it's still a really good offer, and something like that really sets you apart too.
Absolutely. And Nashville is still a really small town. So while it can seem daunting, there's almost always 1 degree of separation between you and someone that you're trying to get in contact with. So utilizing those resources like Facebook and LinkedIn and asking around, I think you'd be surprised at how quickly you can find a mutual friend.
Yeah, I would agree. The longer I'm here, the smaller this place gets. Seriously. So even though Nashville may seem big to you, it really isn't. The other thing that I would say, if you don't have any mutual friends, if you don't, have any mutual connections on LinkedIn, you can still go to LinkedIn and maybe find something in common. Maybe you're from the same hometown, or maybe you're in an event like this and you see my cat calendar and you're like, hey, Amanda likes cats. I like cats. Like anything just to make it a little bit more personable. And I think even David mentioned something like this earlier, but just being authentic, don't try to put on airs, just be real with us. And I think that'll, we'll be receptive to that.
Yes, completely agree. So pivoting a little bit, being a creative, I think that this has already been brought up, especially by David, but how have you learned to manage your time effectively and learn to draw those boundaries between your personal and professional lives?
I can expand on that a little bit. I will let you know when I figured out how to separate my personal life and my business life. It's a very difficult task. For me, it's very much, it's never a set amount of time per day or set number of hours, 9 to 5. But it is really important for me when I get, when I see a 3 to 4 p.m. opening in my calendar, just turn my phone off and go be with my family or, cook a meal or something. Carving out personal time for my personality type is much harder than carving out business time. One tool that I've used that's really aided me in all of this is a bullet journal. It's nothing fancy. It's just a blank journal. It's a way of taking notes and keeping track of things and keeping a calendar that's analog. So it gets your face out of a screen. It creates a little more of a kind of a creative approach to structuring your day. So I definitely recommend checking out that system.
Yeah, I'm married to my business partner, so boundaries are essential. I don't know about y'all. And I was thinking about this when you were talking, David, because I think as creatives, one of my favorite parts of the job is that no 2 days look alike. And so the time management actually, for me anyway, required that I put more structure in it. So at the beginning of the day, that's kind of my quiet focus. I write, I read, I start my day grounded, so that I'm not just hitting the ground running into a million emails and chaos. The other thing that I learned was, and it took me a long time to learn, I talk a little bit about it in the Instagram stories, was I think social media portrays this hustle culture that we've all just got to kill the game and slay all day. But what I've learned is that's a lie. And if you don't rest, you will burn out. And so one of the boundaries that I've set for myself is I'm not going to work on the weekends. I'm just, and I'm not going to answer emails after hours unless the world is on fire. And sticking to those things have really helped me be more effective when I'm on the job.
It's a very challenging thing. I think earlier on in your career, it will probably seem like you are grinding more. Like Amanda said, the phone might not be ringing when you start out. I think where I've found myself, and this is still a huge area of improvement I need to make, but I am at a point though where now I do have I've got some momentum. I am getting those phone calls now. So it is tough. I think the creative path is you're kind of carving out your own way. You're an entrepreneur path. So I think even though it's a huge opportunity I need to improve in, I think one bit of encouragement is to maybe not tie up your identity so much in your work. You're still a person of value. You still carry weight in the world of goodness, even if you're not producing value. Again, huge thing I need to work on, but it's hard. So I don't really have like a magic way to do it. I like that David has like, the bullet journal thing, and Amanda, I like what you're saying about keeping that boundary. It's not easy, but I think you will get momentum, and I think that does feel good, but it takes a while.
I think what I'm hearing you say and what I agree with is it's a practice, right? Like that's the goal to keep in mind, but it's, this isn't just a switch that you flip. It's a practice.
I like that you mentioned social media because it is tough if you're, especially with your kind of career, Amanda, you're always on social media, right? And
I got a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. So I think if you can, I've been getting really into like plants lately, and that's been finding some peace for me. And also like interested in, thinking about my air quality. Maybe I shouldn't sit in the closet all day and be podcasting and like doing emails. Maybe I need to go out and breathe air. So get out, breathe, try to, it is a practice.
We got to talk later about plants, Clark, because that's also my new hobby. Love it.
Okay, I've got a lot to learn, but I am really geeking out about it all.
We'll connect later about that. But I did want to, I mean, what Clark said really hit me. And it's something that also took me a long time to not completely tie my identity to what I do. And that you are a person of value. We had an alum on a panel a couple years ago who said, every day is not going to be your best day, and that's okay. So don't beat yourself up about it. Go outside, breathe fresh air, color, play with your plants, your pets, whatever can help you provide yourself that self-care. So sort of along this line of conversation, how do you know when to say no?
Okay. I was going to see who unmuted first. I'm like,
Playing
all right,
chicken.
I'll go.
Yeah.
That's hard. I think there's a season to be stuck on yes, especially as you're starting out and you just want to get as much experience as you can. I think the sooner that you get to a point, I would encourage you, when you're forming your business, to really start thinking about your business values and your personal values. And once you have those solidified, excuse me, it makes it a lot easier to start weighing your decisions against those values. And it makes that yes, no a little bit easier. But I do think some of this comes with experience. When you were saying that, Rachel, I'm like, just because I'm a graphic designer doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to take on a job designing things for weddings, because I know that there's a lot of stress that comes with that. And I don't know that I want to invite that into my life right now. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying experience will kind of dictate that answer as well.
I have a thought. I love what you just said, by the way. There's a season to be stuck on yes. I think that's very true when you're starting out. And you're always looking for opportunities. I think something that can help you say no as a creative, as an entrepreneur, if you have pricing, okay? Maybe you're offering some sort of consulting or something. It is pricing, by the way, is very hard because you are putting a price on yourself in a way of your value, and that's tough. But when I'm starting to find, I've got a pricing sheet. I can send it to somebody. They ask for how much it costs. I have confidence to say, it might not be a good fit for you, and that's okay. Let me introduce you to someone else. But I can only do that because I have been saying yes for so long, and I have that momentum. And I start to see a pattern of red flags. If somebody starts trying to beat me up on pricing, the very first moment, I know, you know what? This is just one indicator that they're going to be a pain to work with. So I can probably say no to them. And it's like an invitation more than it is a selling. So it's more of like, if you'd like to do this, great. It takes time, but that's been something I've found is once you can find confidence in your pricing or find confidence in what you're offering, saying no becomes a little bit easier because everything isn't in that one opportunity.
Awesome, thank you. So for each of you, will you share a little bit about what aspects of your career, your business, are solely your responsibility versus what you determine maybe to outsource or when you need that additional support?
Yeah, for me, it was in just doing multiple creative endeavors and, finding myself as my own boss in different capacities. I've had to become okay / kind of good at a lot of things, but I would definitely never say that I was great at one specific thing. So yeah, jack of all trades, I think, and that flexibility is important. The biggest progression I made professionally was when I got to my mid-20s and learned enough about myself to know to really identify my weaknesses in business and partner or hire or surround myself with people that fill those voids to make a more cohesive whole operation. So for me personally, attention to detail is just something I really struggle with. I get, I kind of got my woo-woo head. I'm looking at the big picture. I want to do a bunch of cool things. And there will be a broken cell in an Excel spreadsheet, and the budget's all messed up because of that. That's not the kind of thing I'm really good at identifying and finding. So I always make sure to, when approaching a creative endeavor or in business, surround myself with at least one person that can cover my back there and be like, hey, David, there's a broken cell on this. Before you send out that proposal, why don't you fix that? And once I really kind of came to terms with that element of my personality, and as a downfall, which was hard for me to do, I wanted to be, big bad business guy who could do everything. I saw a lot of growth professionally. So I always recommend just being as honest as you can with yourself and identifying those issues and surrounding yourself with people that can help you.
Yeah, I think that's so important. One of the things that I learned really quickly, for our company, we've got 2 people full-time, and then we work with contractors. So we are a tiny but mighty organization, which means you wear a lot of hats. You are the HR director, the head department of sanitation, you're in charge of billing and sales, and you are the creator. One of the things that I thought was really helpful for me, we were selected to participate in a small business administration cohort here in Nashville called Scale Up. And they gave me the best piece of advice, because I feel like when you build something like this and you do wear all these hats, it can get overwhelming really, really quickly. And so they said, okay, spend 15 minutes, write down on a sheet every single thing you do, including take out the trash. Okay, so you have your list. And maybe this is something too, when you don't have the business yet and you're going into it, have conversations with people who have businesses and start thinking about everything that you're going to need to be doing outside of just creating. Like, what are these ins and outs? What do those look like? But anyway, you create your list. And then once you have your list created, then you go back and you start putting little X's next to the things that you don't enjoy, that you're not good at. For me, it was balancing our books. I'm terrible with math. I own that. And so those things with the X's, then you delegate. You find someone to do them better. You pay them if you need to, because it's worth it to have more time to do the things that you're good at, to do the things that you enjoy. And you can even, if they are things that you have been doing, go back and write like detailed instructions to make it easier to pass off. So that was just something that stuck out to me that I've used and been happy to get rid of the day-to-day like math stuff. Not for me. You don't want me balancing books.
Same here. Yeah, I love that. I think what I'm hearing from both of those is to know yourself, knowing your strengths. And I remember, Gary, I know you're in the house here. I took that Strengths Finders test. I think you guys, you still offer the like free tests in the career clinic thing. I mean, that was a really cool thing. I remember mine: futuristic, significance, woo, harmony, and positivity. It took me a moment to remember those. I just jotted those down, but that was a good start. Figure out, that is just a square one. And I think there is, you're starting out, you're kind of doing everything with Relationary. Start off with me and my business partner. His name's Chuck. We're very different. Okay. He's like mid-50s and lives in Vietnam right now. So, but it works. So by the way, we met here in Nashville through getting involved, community events. I normally would tell people, go create a meetup.com account, an Eventbrite account, and just pay attention to what free events are happening. Anyway, it started with just me and him. And now we got about a dozen people, all contractors, and I'm exporting out the things that just take me longer to do. So usually it's going to be reoccurring tasks. And then that gives you flexibility to kind of do more of the strategic stuff. I like that you mentioned the Scale Up course. So there's something else in Nashville that it's called Entrepreneurs Organization Catalyst. They teach that at the Entrepreneur Center. And there's a great quote: as a business owner, you want to be working on your business, not in your business. So you start off working in it. I was doing everything, but then you can start to elevate up a little bit. So it's okay. Right now, if you're doing it all, that's good, because you got to be able to teach someone else how to do those basics. And you can only do that if you know it in and out.
My last question is a fun one, because we've talked a lot about some of the challenges that creatives face. So just quickly in 1 or 2 sentences answer, and then I will turn it over to students to ask questions. So what are some spots around Nashville or virtually that you visit when you need creative inspiration?
So we have an office at Center 615 in East Nashville. And one of the reasons, I mean, Nashville's great. We have so many different co-working spots. Entrepreneur Center is one of them. But one of the things that I love about Center 615, and it really drew me to them, was the way that they curated their creative spaces. There's murals everywhere. There's art installations. So that I love being able to go in there and just kind of walk around and get inspired by color and the different pieces of art that they have from local artists. I'll give a little plug to another Belmont alum that was featured on Instagram earlier this week, because they feature a lot of art from Poverty in the Arts. Nicole Minyard is a Belmont alum, and that we do some work with them as well. And that inspires me. I love seeing what other people create, and I love being around a whole lot of color.
I just walked through Shelby Park through the Greenway. It's perfect. It's a good way to just get away from screens and largely get away from people.
The co-working suggestion is very good. I had an internship when I was, I think, a sophomore. Went to the career fair at Belmont, met, she was Kaylee Faber. She had started what's called, it's not around anymore, but it's one of the first co-working spaces in Nashville, CoLab. And if you can look for internships, Center 615, Entrepreneur Center, there's over a dozen locally, because that is like an instant connection machine. So I am going to draw, if that's okay, I'll put my email in this little chat box. I'm telling you, I keep telling people, email me. So if you just put like a little subject line, like, your interest or whatever, there's a lot of groups like that where you just have like about a dozen different links you can add your email to, like newsletters. And so there's a lot of internship opportunities there too. But yeah, getting plugged into one of these, Center 615, that is a good tip.
Excellent. All right, students, we would love to hear from you. What questions do you have for our panelists? Feel free to unmute yourself or drop a question in the chat and I'll read it.
I have a question. And I'm just curious about any feedback you might have on this. So I'm a songwriting major and a music business minor. And I moved to town about 5 or 6 years ago with the intention of being a working songwriter. And that's still the intention, or an intention, I should say. But as I move through my time at Belmont, I am also getting more and more interested in exploring what place might be available to me in the business side of music. And I keep hearing feedback that if you're going to work in business, not to be creative or whatever, or not to make that known. And so I really am kind of wrestling with that, because I'm not interested in checking that part of myself at the door. But I'm also not at all interested in obviously not walking into places and be like, hey, I'm a songwriter. Thanks for the internship in publishing. Can you give me a deal? But I'm just curious what your thoughts might be on the boundaries around navigating the business side of this while simultaneously pursuing outside of that creative interests. And have you seen people do it successfully? And what does that look like? And yeah, I guess that's my question.
Yeah, tell me again, you said that, and your name, Ella. Okay,
Yeah.
Ella, nice to meet you. You said that people are telling you, excuse me, advising you not, excuse me, not to say that you're creative. Is that what I understood?
There just seems to be an air sort of around that.
Okay.
And I don't know if, and I was in another, I asked this question in a lot of workshops because I'm just curious about people's, getting a variety of perspectives as I'm walking through this. And it seems like there's it's like, it might be like a faux pas, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like just like etiquette wise, there may be an issue with it. And I'm just curious what your experience is with that. And
I think I understand what you're trying to say. And you don't want to come off like you're selling, which I understand. And I can see where that would be like, well, we're all songwriters here. So what makes you special, you know? And here's my advice. Not that I know everything. I'm with Clark and David on this. Like we're all still trying to figure it out. My biggest advice is to, keeping that in mind, still be authentic. That's something that you're good at. That's something you excel in. That's your dream. Lean into it. But also build relationships while you do it. I'll go ahead and put in 2 more plugs that I just thought of. There is a group in town called Solid. It's all caps and it stands for something, and I don't remember what it stands for. That's terrible. But it's basically young professionals in the music industry who are leaders in the industry, and they're very active in volunteering and connecting with established professionals in the industry. So that may be a helpful place to start. I think they're probably doing virtual meetups right now as well. And then I know it's on Facebook. I'm sure they meet on other places as well, but and you guys, David and Clark, you may be able to help me here. It's YEP, the Young Entertainment Professionals. I believe they're pretty active as well. So those may be 2 good places to start where you can start meeting other people who may be just a step or 2 ahead of you to help you with some of those connections.
wonderful. Thank you. And one quick follow-up question that's not specific to anything that's been said, except for LinkedIn keeps getting mentioned. And I'm just don't know how to make that platform work for me. If there's anyone who could drop info about like how to use that social media platform, I would really appreciate some help because I don't get it.
I don't know that this is super sound advice, but I honestly don't get it either. So I can say that you can progress in business without understanding LinkedIn, but it is obviously a very comprehensive and powerful tool. So if someone drops that in the chat, I will also look into that.
I just don't understand. Can you not add people? I don't get it.
The chat function is the thing that blows my mind. Like someone that I will know or have known will hit me up on chat. And it's like, I didn't even know you could do that on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So we'll be learning that together.
You just need to shark some Facebook employees and like get a more cohesive situation.
It's hard. Yeah. Making a platform like that, it's hard to create something that is both powerful and intuitive and elegant. And, kudos to Facebook for pulling that off because it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah. So Ella, I would definitely recommend, and for all of you attending, that is definitely something that we can help you walk through. So again, your career specialists, you're automatically linked in Handshake. Ella, for you, it would be Nina Woodard and Caroline Melby. So I would highly encourage you, if you do have questions about LinkedIn, want to look at, how do I get connected? What do I say when I reach out? We are happy to walk you through that. So again, Handshake, click on Career Center, schedule an appointment. I want to be mindful of time. If you do have burning questions, stick around. I'm sure our panelists would be happy to answer those for you. But for those of you who might need to get to a 1 o'clock class, these are the next steps for you to get credit for participating in today's program. So the test questions will be available within 24 hours of the program ending. You'll go to the self-paced events section and then click on occupational financial well-being and then the occupational well-being category. So you'll click on the title of the program, take the quiz, pass the quiz, complete the assessment that's emailed to you, and then you will receive your WellCore credit. So again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to our panelists for providing amazing advice. So appreciate you taking time out of your day. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and follow along with Amanda's takeover today and Clark's takeover tomorrow. We also have a healthcare, actually a medical student alum taking over this afternoon. And on Friday, we have an HR representative from Dollar General who is going to focus on talking about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So check out our upcoming takeovers and all of our events in Blackboard. We look forward to hearing from you. Let us know how we can help, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was super fun.
Thank you all.
Thank you all
Great
so
job.
much.
Yeah, thank you for your time. This was great. Good job, y'all.
Excellent job. We actually
Yay.
had good turnout too. We have
Yay.
had less students participating in our live events and more participating in self-paced because they can do it on their own schedule. So
Oh,
I
good.
about 30 today, but know that many, many more will be able to access this later on and hear your great advice and access the resources that you all shared. So I could have kept going. I have so many questions I wanted to ask you. I wish we had more time. But you all provided such excellent advice. It's very natural. And it was clear that, you know, the students were listening, at least the ones who had their video camera on, and that
Helpful
your
to
advice
see.
resonated with
Yeah.
them.
That's cool. What you all do really makes a difference. It really does. I remember using a lot of the resources you all provided me. So very
Yeah,
cool.
thank you. It's especially right now, you know, the last year it's been difficult to hear students that are just panicking. But we are here as a resource for them. We want to encourage them and support them and help them get connected to resources, and then alumni like you who are so willing to help out.
Anytime.
Definitely.
Thank y'all so much. It was so nice to hear your wisdom. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys for the invite. This was great.
Thank you so much. You are free to go. I will end the recording. Actually, I realized I've not done that. Let's
See, I don't even know how to